Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the buy, sells, and dividends for the week of February 23rd through March 1st. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so we're going to start with the M1 Finance portfolio. Again, the starting point is the 23rd. The ending point is today. I did want to let you guys know too that the new single stock Roundhill ETFs. I don't know if you guys have seen those. I think it's like Palantir, Coinbase, Nvidia, Tesla, and Apple. They had their first dividend declarations today. They're on a different day for some reason. I don't know why. But if you guys are invested in those, be sure to go check it out in case you forgot. All right, so we got 13 cents on EFC. Excuse me, $7.63 on USOI, 68 cents on CLM, 46 cents on CRF, and another 54 cents on CLM, 43 cents on SFAL, 13 cents on OPP. All of these positions we plan on getting back into at some point, including BSTZ, 4 cents. ACP 2388, we plan on scaling that up at some point, 57.49 from NVIDIA. So that total right there comes out to $91.95. Now we're going to go over to Robinhood. I'll tell you guys right now that in terms of the Robinhood dividends, or in terms of what am I trying to say here? In terms of the dividends, we'll cover that at the end of the video. We do still have our native crypto positions, and we did unload CLSK for a small loss. I think it was a couple $1,000. We're not putting that on the books for this week because that's basically going to offset past profits, and we're going to roll that forward to next year for capital tax loss harvesting. So, but just did want to throw that out there. We no longer have CLSK. We got rid of it. And we also did close. For the prior week, the $500 in premiums that we got for the cover calls, because the markets just absolutely took a nuclear shit, we decided to go ahead and close out for $330 in profit on that. So it cost us about $170 to get out of the trade, but we made $330 in profit. But again, that doesn't count for this week. That is for last week. So we just simply closed the trade out this week. Okay, so the Robinhood dividends. So we got 110.59 from FEPI, AIPI 25.46, QQQI 10 cents. That's a new one. RDTE 5 cents. That's also a new one. QDTE 29.17, NVIDIA 412.12, YMAG 42.55, MRNY 23.08, YMAX 36.15. Okay, got to make sure this thing's still working. And then XDTE, which is also a new position, 5 cents. So the total in dividends for that comes out to $679.32. Now, in terms of, let's see where the new positions are here. So we pretty much still have all the same positions. The only thing that's different is that we have some TSLL, which we'll get into in a minute. In terms of new positions that we're going to put on, we're not going to telegraph those anymore. We're just simply going to let you guys know when they show up, because it seems like every time we say what we think, or we put out our intended moves as to what we want to do, the market always seems to do the opposite, which is highly suspicious. So we're just going to go ahead and let you guys know when we make the moves, probably on X. So anyways, let's see here. So we got 0.19 shares of SPYI. That may be among the dividends. I'm not really sure. I think maybe I had forgotten to calculate that. So triple QI 0.184 shares. Again, the goal is to get each one of these positions in this portfolio up to $50 a month in passive income. RDTE 24.5 cents, or 24.5 shares. QQQT, we also bought this one, 6 shares as well. So some relatively new positions. Then we got the swing trades. ALT is the new one this week. So let's go ahead and go into showing you guys the dividends real quick, and then we'll get into the other stuff. So you can see the buy here, or sorry, not the buy. That's old news. So the dividend, I keep getting the two confused. So they have FEPI, AIPI, and CEPI. So the CEPI is the crypto one. We don't have that one currently, but yeah. For those of you guys that don't know what they are, they're basically just covered call, big tech ETFs is pretty much what they are. So FEPI is the tech one, AIPI is the AI one, and CEPI is the crypto one. If you're a big crypto fanatic, CEPI may be the one you want to look at. All right, so we're going over to AIPI now. All right, so scrolling down here, you can see the buys, 2.11 on the 24th, 2.16, 1.08, 3.31, 2.23, and keep in mind the cheaper the prices become because the market is unfortunately in a correction. The more of this you can buy with the same amount of money, so it's a dividend investor's it's a dividend investor's dream to get shares on the cheap. So we're taking advantage of that. 25.46 here on the dividend, 2.3, and then 2.28. You can see the buys there. So we showed you the dividends and the buys for those. So those are done. All right, so QQQI. These two, I don't really need to go over these. I mean, we put $10 in them. It's a very negligent amount. It's just kind of a starting point. So not going to go over those. Also not going to go over either RDTE or where is it? XDTE. We'll go over these in separate videos as we accumulate more, but it's basically just a starting point of $10 in each. Now the next one here is going to be NVIDIA. NVIDIA did have good earnings. They beat on earnings, but unfortunately the market was unimpressed. So NVIDIA kind of took a dump. Is what it is, but we still have the same amount of shares. You can see the 412.12 there for the dividends. Okay, so the next ones we got here is YMAX and YMAG. Okay, so YMAX this week, 36.15. The price of YMAX and YMAG has not been performing so well, unfortunately, but that is kind of the nature of having all these underlying stocks within the CTF is the stock market has kind of been dragging lately because of uncertainty. Once we get out of it, we may end up having some pretty powerful price action to the upside. That would be my guess, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. So, all right, YMAG 42.55 on this one. And the last one I want to look at here with you guys is, and we'll probably end up getting rid of this one because it has been just an absolute SHIT show. It has not performed very good, so we'll probably sell out of it, and that is MRNY. I mean, it's pretty much lost about 80% of its value, so we'll just take this one as a loss, not too concerned about it. So the dividends there for the MRNY. Anyways, excuse me. So next position here is NEO. This is a Chinese EV manufacturer. So we got in this one on the Golden Cross swing trade indicator. And again, we've showed you guys that particular indicator set up in the past. Played out pretty quick. It only took about a week for this trade to play out. So we made $148.81 on this. That's about a 15% gain. Again, that is the goal minimum standard for every trade is roughly about 15% gain. If we get more, we get more. If we get less, we're just simply not going to sell. We're going to wait or add more. That's what we're going to do. So that totals that. And in terms of the cover call options, or not cover call, cash secured puts this week, we didn't have any cover calls. We could have did some cover calls on TSLL, but it was too far out of the money. The price was down too far. Our average was too high. And we were just like, okay, we're only going to be able to do the monthlies for maybe $30 a contract per month. That's not really worth it when you have it pretty close to the share price is pretty close to the strike price. You're talking about like $50-$60 a week. So we just decided we're going to hold off on the calls, which we'll talk about that in a minute, and do cash secured puts instead. So opening on the 25th and 26th, these are the two separate transactions. The first one we closed we got assigned the shares on the 28th. So that was yesterday for $42 times one contract. And the other one that we put out was a little further in time. Expiration date's going to be on the 7th of this month with $59 times one contract. So in terms of all the positions that we bought, so we bought ALT, but we actually sold that one, and we showed you that already. So we got QBTS, APLD, Fate, QQQT, and we already showed you AIPI, which we'll show you in a minute. Or not AIPI, but we'll show you the swing trades in a minute. So let's start with triple QT. Man, there's so much going on here. I can't even say it right. Sheesh. Anyways, so the markets have been down. It made perfect sense to buy this. Again, this is one of those funds that usually sits at $20 a share. When the markets are up, it doesn't go higher than that. But in this case, it makes sense to buy because it's cheap, right? So we bought 6 shares here. You can see that. Okay, so I'll go over CLSK real quick, show you guys the closing out and the selling of the shares and all that so you can see that. Okay, so we got out here. You can see the 1,000 shares here closed out that position. This was the opening and this was the closing. So it cost $170 basically to buy the contracts back, or basically buy the contracts back for cheap for profit. So $330 profit on that. And that does kind of offset the losses just a little bit. So that obviously that helps. I mean, again, with losses like that, we're not really too concerned about it. It's, if we end up making a fortune this year, which may or may not happen, then we can just offset that with tax loss harvesting. So going over the next one here, I'm going to take a look at some of the trades here. So each one of these swing trade positions has a capital amount of $1,150 in it. The goal is a 15% gain from the above and beyond the cost basis. You can see here 652 average, 177 share count, and then the actual transaction there itself. Now, in terms of the other swing trades, nothing has changed with these. What we just simply did was we decided to add $150 to each. And we'll talk about this new updated strategy that we're going to do here in a minute. So you can see the original one, small little ad here on QBTS. Again, this is a quantum computing stock. I think these are going to do very, very well going into the future. So no reason not to hold these. And the technical setup was right, so we took that as well. APLD, this is one of those stocks that NVIDIA is buying. This is also an AI stock. AI stocks are very hot, like SoundHound, Palantir, need I say more? So we added a little bit more here. You can see that. And the cost basis was reduced, so less than $10 now. Okay, next one here, FATE. Unfortunately, we got the golden cross and then this thing just dumped off a cliff. That does happen sometimes. I was not expecting it to happen immediately after we took the trades. So that is kind of the risk sometimes. Unfortunately, it does happen. So it's just, you just got to learn to adjust. So anyways, so the original position here, we added a little bit here. You can see at a much lower price. The share count is, I believe, 775 shares total. And the last thing that I wanted to show you guys here is TSLL. Now, whether we're going to get a sign on the last put that we have or not, that remains to be seen. And obviously, any future transactions we do, we'll let you guys know about that on X and through content and whatnot. So keep a lookout for that. So you can see all the different stuff going on here. So we had the calls here and then put here, closed out the calls for basically pennies on the dollar. So we got to keep most of those profits. Actually, you know what? I just realized, let me go ahead and add this because I didn't realize that there was actually another, we missed some of this. So apparently there was more money that we made that we didn't realize that we made. So anyways, so we closed out for pennies on the dollar. Basically it cost, looks like $5 to close out. So we'll actually subtract that. So yeah, so the premiums then would be more than 101, so it would actually be 166, and then the total amount for the week is $1,086.08. So you can see all the different transactions here, the puts and then the assignment and all that jazz. So I'm going to go ahead and go back real quick. Take a look at TSLL. So you can see we have 400 shares, average cost $17.82. So there's a good chance it could go back up this week along with the rest of the leverage funds. So just wanted to show you that real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go over to TradingView real quick and we'll talk about the strategy we'll talk about the charts and markets and stuff like that in the macro video coming up, and we're also going to do a monthly video as well, so keep a lookout for that. I'm not going to get too deep into that today, but what I want to show you guys is this. So this is kind of how we're playing this new strategy. When exactly we'll make these ads, if we make them, and the reasons why we make them, we'll let you know at the time that we do it. So for this, it's pretty simple, okay? So if we get the golden cross, we write out the trade, okay? Hits 15%, boom, take profit, be done with it. In this case, it was a 60% gain when we got one of the triggers, and then that's it. We move on to the next trade, okay? But in this case, if we get into the trade and then let's say it does something like this right here, where it goes up and then it goes down and then it goes up. Well, if we get the golden cross and then it goes back down below the EMAs, we'll just simply add to the pot. And in this case, it made sense to do so because, again, there is a major support level here. So you can see how many times it bounced off this level. So we were looking at that thinking, okay, let's go ahead and add some because this is a very high likelihood bounce area. Previous resistance, previous support, it's been tested for many months, and it's held up pretty well. So again, macro support here. In this case, it made sense. And so that's just kind of how we're playing it. And obviously, there is a second layer to this, and that is that by doing this, this actually grows the account faster, because if we were just waiting to roll the profits back into new trades, that would take longer. But if we add more capital to the downside here on some of these trades, that can grow the account much faster, thereby compounding on itself and growing on itself much faster over time. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Peace.